So question 4 for the evaluation is, how did you use media technologies in the construction, research, planning and evaluation stages? So digital technology is a really big part of our lives now and is absolutely vital in creating anything like this massive project. Be the presenting the research and planning that you've done, the actual construction of it, even doing these evaluations. Obviously I'm using digital technology because I'm using my laptop's webcam and I'm going to go and edit this video and I'm going to host it on a blog. So even in the evaluation stages you can see that I am using a variety of different ways of presenting what I want to present. And the availability of these technologies especially means that it's become a lot easier and more efficient for anybody to really create something like the music video. But obviously you do have to pay for things, but it has become easier for somebody like me to be able to have the tool that I need to make a professional looking video, and I do believe that I've done that. So I have a variety of different clips. For example, I did a clip of my blog a while ago after I'd just done my draft. I did videos before each one of my shoots to go through kind of the equipment that I was using. So I'm going to be doing a bit of this and a bit of clip showing. So I do want to begin by talking about the WordPress clip that I'm about to show you. Now, first of all, I made the clip when I first began doing my I just finished doing my draft. But WordPress is a really good site. It's really easy to use on my end. And it's really easy, I think, to follow on an audience's end. You're able to make a lot of menus and kind of pick a theme that you want to present with, and generally you can really adapt it to what you want to do. So I was able to create featured images, which I feel were able to kind of separate my posts up to make it a lot easier to locate everything. And it does let you host other media technologies on there. So I talk about Prezi and I talk about SlideShare. So SlideShare is very basic and essentially hosts your PowerPoints or your PDFs or your screenshots or your Word documents or anything like that, so that it's a lot easier to read and so that you can embed it in your blog. So I did a lot of that. If I'd done a normal PowerPoint, I would put it on there, so I was able to put it on my blog so for people to see it. I did it with my song mapping on a Word document. I did it with my contact sheet and everything, just to make it a lot easier for an audience or somebody interested in my processes to read what I was doing and make it slightly more interesting than purely going on and reading a massive blog post. And Prezi is the same thing, but it's kind of a even more amped up version. So Prezi is a presenting platform wherein you can make a lot more interesting presentations. So I did a lot of equipment research, based things on there. There will be a Prezi going along with this actually, to kind of go through each separate thing that I believe was really key for each of the technologies. I think was really key in the construction of all of this, and it makes it very, and you can really adapt it to yourself, which I particularly like. So I did pick things which I found slightly, I think would be easy for an audience to be able to read. So for my equipment research, it's very kind of logical and a bit more interesting to look at, again, than a normal blog post, but even more than SlideShare, I think, because most people use PowerPoint now, it's a lot less interesting to go on and see a million PowerPoints. It's much more interesting if I go on and show kind of all these different things in a much more interesting way. So yes, I just wanted to do a quick heads up before I went in to explain why it kind of looks blank, and because I don't think I've fully explained how I used the Prezi and PowerPoint during my during the clip. I don't think I explained fully how I really used them, but I mostly used them in the research and planning stages just to fully present my ideas in, I think, a more interesting way. And WordPress was really the hub of everything accumulated together, and for somebody who loves to organise things into very strict categories, WordPress worked really well for me. And I think especially looking at something, if you like looking at very specific categories, it's something that can definitely help you. So yeah, just a quick little thing before I show that clip. So I just wanted to do a really quick run through of my blog to demonstrate technology. So I'm using WordPress to present all of my coursework. So each of these tabs, obviously, you can go into. So everything is categorized into 3 different sections. There will be more sections when the final products are there and everything. I also have my archive over here so the posts can be got to really quickly. As you can see, I've done quite a lot of posts, especially in October. So if we go to my research, so I also created little banners just to split up my blog, just to split up the posts in my blog. But also, if you only go into, so as you saw, I went into research and went specifically into similar products, but you can just click on research and you'll see all of my research posts. So I thought if I made these banners, it would help to split up when scrolling. So I made a different one for each section. I've done it on the same on everything. So I've got research for genre, institutional research, and obviously, as you just saw, similar products. And it's the same on everyone. If we go to planning really quickly, as you can see, obviously this is down to internet, how slow it is. It's never usually like this. But yeah, I just went straight into planning. So yeah, as you can see, have videos and stuff on here. I have SlideShare stuff on here, again, banners. I have Prezzies, where you click the link and you go somewhere else. If we actually look at a Prezzy in a second, we'll go over there in a second to look at the technology for that. Obviously, SlideShare is a very simple program where you just upload it. But then I'm going to put in a few different things in here, different shooting schedules, like finalized shooting schedules, that kind of thing. I have bits ready. I have forms, so I have pictures on here. Some of them are text posts. I have more of that, although this needs to change because when you upload to SlideShare, if it hasn't got the fonts, it won't do it. So this was a font ideas page for my brand guidelines, but as you can see, it hasn't actually come through with any of the fonts. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to do some screenshots of the font ideas that I had and put them in there. So again, pictures, that kind of thing, videos, my animatic. As you can see, you can also upload. This is actually screenshots that I uploaded to Prezzy. I think I uploaded this as a Word document so that I keep it all together, because when I screenshot it, when I put it in PDF, it did not want to make it into what I probably wanted. More videos, more pictures, this kind of thing. Also, what's quite good here is you can link it to other posts. So when I'm doing behind the scenes stuff, I talk a lot about the location mise en scène. So I've actually linked it to the behind the scenes post. So I haven't made the video for it yet, but as you can see, I put it in shooting because it is behind the scenes of when we're shooting. Production logs isn't set into sections just because it's pretty normal production log, although I might make one purely for summaries. Obviously this is quite early days of the blog. I still have a bit left to do. I've just finished my draft, so there is going to be more. I'll probably do possibly an updated one. So if we go to Prezzy really quickly, it's just a way of it's another program to kind of present things in an interesting way. So I've done a few of my posts on here just to make it more interesting. So I did my equipment required on here. I ended up using more than I actually put here, but this was the equipment I originally just believed I would require. I ended up using a gimbal, which I haven't gone here. But I just thought the kind of CV thing looked quite good. And I should go back and edit it because you can actually go back and edit. Yeah, if you see here in Brightplay, you can go back and edit it later if something changes, which is really good, obviously, by doing this because it means I don't have to recreate the whole thing. I can just go back, as you can see, and you can kind of zoom in where you want to. So I put this there just because I didn't need it, but I didn't want to actually put it in part of the slide. It's almost like a kind of Easter egg thing, but I can always put the gimbal in there or with the GoPro Hero 4 Black. But I use that in quite a few of my shoots. But yeah, WordPress just makes everything really easy. As you can see, there's kind of an about page. You can go into my archives. So if I click on October 2016, and then it puts in all the posts I've done in October 2016. So we just scroll through, and obviously people can leave comments, but essentially what it does is it asks for permission to somewhere else mention this, so it puts it down as a comment. Call sheets, so obviously I'm going to put in more of those. You can go back and edit on SlideShare as well, which is really helpful. But just generally, yeah, this is my blog. And the theme is... I can go and change the theme if I wanted to. I don't want to. I liked my theme. Theme options. Don't know if it'll tell me what my theme is. Widgets, site identity, custom design. I don't know where it will tell me what my theme is. Writer is the theme. It's a really cool theme actually. I really like it, and I really like the colour scheme. I think it looks quite nice, and obviously because some of the themes don't have some of the features, so some of the themes won't let you have an archive, some of the themes won't let you have this kind of side panel thing. Most will, but some of them don't. Some of them don't have the archive feature, so I quite like this one. And obviously you can go back to the home page if you click on that, which is just an about me, just to be pretty simple, and I'll put my final products up here when they're finished. But yeah, just a really helpful website overall, and just really good to use. Just two technologies I also wanted to really quickly talk about are Word and PowerPoint, as I kind of already discussed when I talked about SlideShare. Word and PowerPoint almost have to be mentioned slightly because everyone uses them, and I'm not going to talk loads about them because, as I've already said, everyone uses them. They're not very interesting kind of presenting tools anymore, perhaps more than a PowerPoint used to be. But I did use them. Word, I did a lot of text posts before I put them into things like InDesign or into a more kind of condensed format to fully plan out the way that I wanted to do things. So say in regards to my evaluation, before I put my question 2 evaluation into InDesign, I did type it out into Word just to spell check and to be able to kind of see everything a bit more clearly. And before I make a lot of these videos as well for the evaluation, I had written down kind of the things I wanted to say, almost a bullet pointed list. Just because typing is quicker than writing, and obviously I know I need to write for my actual exams, but just really quickly just typing out a list of everything I wanted to say and just having it in front of me is entirely helpful, especially for the evaluation. Word, yes, so PowerPoint, also presenting the information, I then put that into SlideShare, but PowerPoint is in some ways still interesting. It does remind me a lot of kind of young years, like I said, because everyone uses it. I've been using it for ages, since like year 3, and word art was the big thing, and using a million transitions. But PowerPoint is still a really good way, I think, of presenting certain things. I think it's a very professional. I think part of Prezi's kind of selling point is the concept of the amazing themes that make it look really interesting. But I think that sometimes those themes can almost become slightly adolescent, whereas I think the PowerPoint is still very kind of business-esque, if that makes any sense. And Excel as well, I feel like I have to mention, because that was the main way of doing my shot list, just because I feel like I could just, it was a massive table, and yes, you can make a table in Word, but I feel like Excel puts it into a very neat way. This was particularly kind of in the planning stages before I went out and did my shoot. I needed that shot list to be able for me to really quickly be able to kind of see where I was, and also that helped with colour coding. I did colour code my shot list to really make sure that I knew kind of where I was, and also as a whole to be able to see what I wanted, because obviously I did a storyboard and everything, but I didn't want to bring out that full storyboard with me. I would rather just bring a quick list and I can go, okay, so I'm filming Black Box stuff today, and during this part of the song I know that something else in a different setting or location is going to come up. So Prezi as a whole worked really well for me. And then I'm going to move on to YouTube. YouTube is helpful for many different reasons. Research and planning wise, YouTube was incredibly helpful, as it allowed me to kind of look at previous students' work. It allowed me to look at hundreds, I feel like, of different music videos, just because most artists nowadays have a Vevo channel wherein all their music videos go up, and pretty much all artists will kind of premiere their videos on YouTube now, which is nice because they're free. Rather as opposed to something like MTV, which I think originally would have been the best way to see kind of music videos. I feel like YouTube is so instant to be able to kind of view a video that just artists go with that now. So it was particularly helpful in looking at other artists' videos, but also with Georgina and the music video, hosting it on there makes a lot of sense because it would be the best way to get it to an audience. And kind of hosting all these videos, this video will go up on YouTube to be able to be embedded in my blog, just because it is the quickest way of communicating something like this, is just to pop onto YouTube. And pretty much everyone, especially in the first world countries, so especially here, everyone will be able to have some kind of YouTube account and will be able to see everything. So I feel like it makes sense in an artist way for Georgina. Georgina has a YouTube channel herself. I put a video on my blog as part of her audition because one of the first ways I saw her was on YouTube. So in regards to artists, her brand, other artists do, so it makes sense for Georgina to have, or Georgie to have, her YouTube music video up on YouTube. But as opposed to me, presenting wise, again, YouTube is really good for that because it does host all of these amazing videos, so it was really, really good for that. And another website very similar to that is SoundCloud, where I put up a lot of my podcasts. Podcasts became a much bigger thing for me this time around, just because I do think that they communicate things a lot more quickly, and because I was doing a lot of feedback, I didn't have time to sit down in front of a camera and do a proper kind of almost interview thing. So being able to just stick my phone in the centre and talk, and then being able to put that into a format, I think that a lot of people can listen to, because podcasts people listen to all the time just on the bus, because it's something you can kind of just focus on other things while you're listening to it, because you don't have to focus on a video. So SoundCloud was really helpful for me for that reason, and kind of hosting Georgina's song on there, which other artists do, was really good because I can embed it in my blog. And just generally podcasts as a whole were really helpful for me, as I've already said, for just communicating my ideas. So I particularly did use SoundCloud within my planning space, just because, like I've said, the feedback was all put onto SoundCloud. And then I also used it in my evaluations, because my question 3 I made into a podcast and a video, because I thought that then you could either see, if you really wanted to see kind of the differences between kind of drafts and real products, my final product, then you could be able to do it as a video. But if you just wanted to listen to it as a podcast, it does give you that kind of option. Research didn't really use it as much, just because I wasn't trying to communicate my ideas really in the research, was communicating other people's ideas. So it was really for the planning and evaluation sections that I used it. But, you know, it was incredibly helpful. And yeah, it's just one of the really good ways of presenting ideas. So when it came to the construction of my music video, obviously one of the main pieces of media technology that I used was a camera. Now, I obviously didn't use a camera like the one I'm using now, because, I mean, you can barely see me in the dark. I obviously do not have the professional lighting that I did during my music video. So I use a Canon 100D as my camera, and I also had the opportunity to use the 550D, and they both shot in 1920x1800 video resolution, so kind of HD resolution. But I went with the 100D just because I liked the touchscreen capabilities of it. I did do everything manually. It was all a manual rather than automatic. The ISO was at 100 and it kind of stayed there, otherwise it could become back quite staticky with having things like mobile phones and computers on. My FPS was at 50, and my aperture began at f/1.8, sometimes went up to 2.8, but mostly stayed there. And I used a 50mm prime lens rather than the zoom lens that the camera came with, purely just for the better aperture. And I did manually focus pulls. I liked that I could manually focus for those focus pulls even, just because it's kind of, you can't really do that without having that prime lens. Obviously one of the issues with that is you can't zoom, so if I wanted to get any closer, I literally had to get closer, which in some cases didn't really work out the way I wanted it to, because it also meant that I couldn't zoom out, so if I wanted to get further away from them I couldn't easily do that. But overall, you know, the cameras worked really well. I used the same camera when I did my photo shoot as well, just because overall they're such amazing cameras. You know, with the SD card in and everything, so I could store loads of my footage over and over again on there. And then I stored it on my hard drive as well, which is a 5 TB hard drive. I'm not sure what type it is, but I mean, that's a technology that I use in the construction, because all of my coursework is on this hard drive. If this hard drive ever explodes or dies or gets stolen before this coursework is over with, everything I've worked on for the past however many months is gone, which is obviously an issue of digital technology, is the concept that things can easily break or go wrong, or you can, even on digital technologies, you can lose things because they will randomly delete for whatever malfunction, which is actually something that happened with my editing processes video. I had created a video of me editing my music video, and it disappeared. So I've had to make another one of me editing a different video. So yeah, both of these worked really well together. And then I did use 3 800-watt redhead lights, particularly for the 3-point lighting system. I didn't use them all the time because sometimes I did need natural light, and sometimes if we were outside I didn't need light, or I didn't think it could really work, and I don't think there's really any way to take them outside, so I used a combination of natural light and the 3-point lighting system. I did like that the 3-point lighting system with the lights gave everything a very crisp and clear feel, and especially the backlight made sure that the focus was on my actors. And also the good thing about the redheads is that you can kind of really play with them, so you can change their positioning, the depth of the light, and the height of the lights particularly. So yeah, those were the kind of the 3 main technical things that I used during my shoots. One of the other I obviously use different things to kind of make sure that they stay in place. So I used the tripod, the dolly, and the gimbal, because I used the GoPro. Now, I wasn't originally going to use the GoPro. I was going to use the jib for different kinds of shots, or the Steadicam. But in the end, I decided to go with the GoPro. And what I really liked about the GoPro was, number one, how small it was, meaning it could fit into really good spaces. So when I was initially going to do the shot within the bag, obviously the GoPro was the best thing for me because it is small and you could put the protective case on it so that it wouldn't get scratched up lens wise, because I didn't want to break a school camera, and it worked really well in there. But also something that I discovered with the GoPro and the gimbal, because the gimbal, what you do is you attach the GoPro on top, and then if you move it, it moves the gimbal, the GoPro even, like ahead. And we had the top of the range, we had the GoPro Hero Black, GoPro Hero 6 Black. This is why I'm doing the Prezi. That's like top of the range, so it filmed in insanely high quality. But what I liked about the gimbal is obviously, number one, it could be used for floating shots because it moved like a head, which I liked. And what it was really helpful was the running shots with me running behind Georgina. Because if I'd just been using a camera and a tripod, I wouldn't have got the same effect at all, because I'd have had to have kept focusing in it. Whereas with that GoPro, it kind of had a very deep focus, so it was kind of focused on everything anyway, but it worked really well for the running scenes particularly. So I am going to show you some clips now from my actual shoot. Hey guys, welcome to my first proper shoot. I'd say the last one I did was kind of a test shoot. I don't know if I've put up that clip yet, but yes, so this is my proper shoot. So today we are doing some dolly work, as you can see here. The dolly's ready down here. We're doing some Steadicam stuff as well. There's like no good place to film this really, because everywhere I go there's lights. So yeah, we're doing some dolly work, we're doing some Steadicam stuff. This is my black box scene. Hey guys, so this is my second shoot today. This is the first location we're shooting in, which is the library. So today we're using the GoPro, which is really exciting because I haven't used it yet. We're only using it for a couple of shots inside the bag, because I think it would look quite good with the framing and everything, but we're also going to be doing some shots over there. The camera set up with the tripod. It won't always be on the tripod, just for ease of doing some stuff, because I want it to look good, obviously. But yeah, we're going to be doing some pretty basic shots, but yeah, pretty much just setting up the camera normally, doing stuff with GoPro. I'm going to set up the location in a bit, which I will do some shots of me doing,
and yeah, so it should be pretty good. So as you can see, what we've also done now is we've set up a 3-point lighting system. So we have one light here, and then 2 lights around the back here. So we have this light here, which is on quite a narrow light. No, this one's on quite a wide light. And then we have this one here. It's quite a narrow light, as well concealed as they can be, really, in such a small enclosed space, but I think it's working quite well. And yeah, it just makes it look a lot nicer. I did turn off the lights in here eventually, because just it was so gloomy over here, it just didn't really work well, so I've done this now to make it just look a bit nicer. How did you find that shoot? Was it good? It was a bit stressful trying to get all the books away. But, you know, so this was the library stuff. We're going to do like a tiny bit more in here if I'm leaving, so lots of it will be kind of over that way. Possibly, I don't know how we're going to do it with lights, but I don't mind it being too dark because, like, gloomy and stress and everything. But then we're doing classroom scene next, which should be good. Probably going to have a similar setup with the lights, but I will let you know when we're up there. And yeah, it was really good. Okay, so we've moved into the classroom now because, like I said, we're going to do some classroom scenes. I don't think I mentioned that I used the gimbal and the GoPro. I used it for some running stuff. Whether it actually goes into my final thing, I don't know yet because I haven't seen the footage, but it was really fun to do, and I have a clip of me using it. Go. So now we're in the classroom doing the classroom scene. As you can see with my setup, we have Georgina right there. We're going to be doing a symmetrical shot, lots of jump cuts this bit, which is probably one of my favourite things to do. I love the way jump cuts look. We have a 3-point lighting system, again with the LEDs, which is really nice. And yeah, that's pretty much it. She's still in her school attire with the mask on and everything. You know, we've got all the little touches out. And overall, yeah, hopefully going to be a really good shoot. Okay, so Georgina just left and we just filmed the house prologue scene, kind of pyjama scene, and then her going to school on the way. Pretty good. So I used natural lighting here, which means I may need to do more editing or I may need to reshoot. But my thought process was, at school, I kind of want it to be more natural here because it's it's her natural space, whereas in school, having it very bright white and almost kind of hospital-like is very much kind of not realistic. And I like the idea of it not being her. So it kind of being very cleanly and like sterile and everything. So it's not creative or fun or anything like that. So I quite like it. I like the colours that I've got going on so far. So when we're doing the film outside, it was all lots of blues because it started raining when we were out there, which was annoying. Thankfully, didn't get the camera wet. But yeah, it started raining when we were out there. Me lying on a cold floor, trying to get the perfect shot of her feet. Very Tarantino. But yeah, but yeah, the shoot went really well. I'm going to do some stuff with the gimbal and the GoPro now. Some like floating-y stuff, maybe some stuff. Some other stuff, but yeah. It was really good. Only one bit left to shoot and then hopefully no reshoots. So today we're filming the final scene of my music video, finally. This is like my 4th day of shooting. And we're just in the music room. We're in a smaller music room than we were for the test shoots. Because there's a small amount of people, because I decided that having too many people just didn't really work with what I wanted, so I'm having like 2. It's really well lit in here. I'm not using official like professional lights or anything. These ones are fine, and the window is like huge, so you know. Yeah, it's like I've kept it pretty much just as it is because it's like meant to be a normal music room. It's meant to be at school, so I mean I've moved like coats and stuff out the way so that it doesn't look messy, so it's neat. But you know, it's a music room. I can't do much to it. It's very white and plain, but you know, there we go. So yeah, hopefully it goes well and I'll have done my final bit and then I can finally just edit it and get it in. So bye.
So in regards to filming those mini clips, obviously I used my phone. That's the beauty of phones nowadays, is that they can actually shoot really well, and in pretty high quality, at just, you know, in your pocket, very lightweight. So yeah, I essentially use that. So again, my phone helped me out, and obviously my phone would help me out with a lot of different things, you know, accessing the internet, but that's the same as my computer. So when it actually came to constructing my music video, I used for the construction of my music video, I used one main program, which is obviously Premiere Pro. And like I said, I do a video of me editing a video in Premiere Pro to kind of show some of the things that I do. So I, you know, speed up parts, I add in a filter, a transition at the end, and, you know, just kind of that concept of cutting and choosing different parts and I added in beep sounds for when I saw, because it was a raw footage video. So Premiere Pro is just really helpful with that. Obviously I can add in titles as well, which I also did, and that was a part of my music video to kind of match with what Tom Odell did with titles. So Premiere Pro is a really good program, and obviously I can export on there in whatever format, so I use H.264, and then if I want to do a podcast, I'll just export it as audio, and you can kind of pick where you want to export it to. In the construction of my magazine advert, I used Photoshop to manipulate the image, which again I have a video of. I just used lots of layers to kind of do different things. I did the lasso object to cut her out so that I could fade the background and then I added an action on top of it to kind of filter it and make it look a bit more dark and blue to add to the music videos, kind of some of the shots in the music video, which kind of could create that synergy. And then with the Digipack, I pretty much just used InDesign, and I did my photo shoot at school. I didn't really do anything in Photoshop with that. I just kind of used the effect of being able to place images in certain places, and I could do the text in different places, flip things, just generally kind of use InDesign in the construction of my Digipack, because I could put the layout there, and then I could kind of draw a square and add in that, and I could pick some very specific colours because they have a really wide colour range on there, and I could also kind of use my fonts that I'd chosen specifically on there, which was quite helpful. And then finally, when it came to my evaluation, I also used InDesign to create my magazine article, so I could put things into columns, and I used text wrapping to be able to do pull quotes and to be able to put pictures in among the text, and I could create a kind of really nice front cover and again use those fonts. So overall, using those digital technologies really helped me with the construction and also with the evaluation of my music video. So as can be seen through this video, I used media technologies really throughout every aspect, be it in my research where I used YouTube to like look at other people's works, using SlideShare to present it, or using Prezi, my planning stages again where I was using PowerPoint and Prezi and YouTube and all of these websites to fully plan for my video, Excel, Word, the actual construction, which got into the more technical side, so using the Canon 100D and the Redhead 800 watt lights, or the prime lens, or Premiere, InDesign, Adobe products, on my evaluation where I used pretty much all those things and the webcam on my computer to make a much more interesting experience. I used media technologies throughout, as you would expect from a digital course, and I do think I used them effectively. I don't think I could have really added to anything I used. I think I used pretty much everything that is out there. I used everything that was available to me pretty much, and just generally I used a variety of different techniques and items throughout my process. So yes, thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!